Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for spending time with me again today. And I'm very excited today to be chatting with Angela. Angela, please, will you tell us a little bit more about your business and why you do what you do?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be with you, and hello to everybody who's watching from the comfort of their own homes, no doubt. So I run two businesses actually, but I'm going to spend the time talking to you about inspired leadership. And I'm sure most of you have at some point in your careers been managed by a manager who has left you feeling demotivated or a little insecure, maybe not involved, and the technical term we use is disengaged. And our job and our mission in Inspired Leadership is to turn bosses into leaders. So that's our focus, is to help people in organizations shift their behavior so that they can get the best out of the people that they lead. What makes us different is how we actually do that, how we solve that problem, and how we go about shifting not just individuals, but organizations.
Mm-hmm. So will you tell us a little bit about those differences, Angela?
Sure. So I'm wondering, well, I guess because your audience is actually watching online, they probably have done other things online, like go on to LinkedIn Learning or done a course or tried to do a course on Udemy or any of the kind of digital academies. Or they may have been part of a, let's call it a digital community. So there's many of those, from entrepreneur groups to women's groups to South African community, business leaders, or whatever it is. You're part of a community of online people. Both of those have what I call access to community, access to knowledge, but nobody really cares whether you show up or not. Nobody really cares whether you complete what you started. And nobody's really there to help you identify what it is that you need as an individual. So we've closed that gap. And we really are quite determined to bring both high tech and what we call high touch, which is then the human connection into learning. So if I say to you, here's the library, Melanie, of everything you need to know as a manager. Go into Google. You're going to get like 147 million hits.
Yes.
It's massive. It's far too many. So you don't even know where to begin.
Yes.
And as a result, you just get overwhelmed and you stop.
Yes.
So then you just do what was done to you. Whatever that management experience is, you just repeat. Because it's a lot of effort to try and distill out of that 147 million, what do I need? What will help me?
Yes.
So we did the hard work of going, okay, let's down select that and put in the foundations. What is it that you really need? And from a everyday practical point of view, take away the fluff, take away all the theory. Nobody really cares. We just want to know what can I do differently, and can you make it maybe down to 5 as opposed to 147 million?
Yes.
So we've done that hard work, and then we said, well, okay, so here's the piece, and that's digital for us. We make that digital because that's how we learn in the modern world, and especially now. But we were pre-COVID anyway. And then we said, yeah, I know, but even if I give you 5 things to do, Melanie, I know you're also uniquely human, which means you're gonna get distracted. You're gonna start with initial enthusiasm, and it's gonna peter off. You're gonna go, oh, I'd rather do something else. Because this isn't my core. This is not what I love. I'm doing this because I know I need to get better. So we built in accountability into our approach so that when you start your journey with us, that we're there for you, and we will expect you to show up with insights and learnings when we see you, because we will see you, and we'll phone you when you're not there. And we'll expect you to come with what you've done differently and how you've applied what you've learned in these manageable chunks where we've done the hard work, we've made it practical, and you get to apply what you're doing in the flow of work. So it's not like some special event you have to go to, and 3 days later you come back and you've forgotten it all. You're learning and doing in the flow of work, and then somebody is going to be caring that you've done it, caring that you've got insights, caring that you want to share stuff with the people that you're going through this learning with. So it's called, technically it's called blended learning, but it's intentionally blended with quite a lot of intelligence behind it. So intelligence, experience, and practical wisdom for the everyday human being. We've designed for humans.
It sounds like an absolutely fabulous program, and I wish I'd known about it 4 years ago. So to give you some context, I've got a group on Facebook that went viral, and I had to recruit a group of volunteers to help me to moderate the content in the group. And it was the very, very first time I'd ever worked with a team or had to manage a team. And it was a very, very frightening process for me. And what you say about people starting and then kind of losing interest and falling away resonates for me a great deal, because we have 10 volunteers join the team, and if 1 in 10 eventually shows up to do the work, I'm super thankful, because along the way they get whittled away for various reasons.
No, absolutely. I mean, people inherently, I'm looking at myself here, we're inherently quite lazy, especially at things that we don't really want to do in the first place, but we know we have to.
Yes.
It's a little bit like healthy eating. So,
Yes.
we all cognitively know we should be eating healthily, but that bag of chips is so much easier. Why would we put the effort in? So it's a similar kind of thing. And also the other part that we've been very conscious in our design is to go like fitness. If you say you want to get fit and you go to one aerobics class or one Pilates class, that's going to help. It's just not going to work. You're going to go, I feel great for one day, and you might feel a bit stiff, and you might, the next day, like do a couple of stretches because you're into it, but actually it doesn't make you fit. And leadership development is the same. You have to do more than one class. It's a repeated exposure over time, using great neuroscience to shift behavior so that it becomes fit as just a way of life, as opposed to something that you do on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. So it's behavior change. So we're into the business of behavior change. So that's a part of my business. Is we created the product, the approach, and it's really magical. We've had an incredible impact with human beings, like learners in organizations. So we're B2B. We sell to businesses and organizations who've got managers who need to grow and develop and become leaders. Mostly they're technical people. I mean, we love working with technical people because they started out in whatever technical field they were in, and they grew that side of them, which of course they should do. And then suddenly they looked around and they were the only one who was eligible for the manager role when Jeff left. And suddenly it became their job to manage these oaks that are like, they were peers with yesterday, and now they've got to manage them today. They've done no development for that. They're not prepared. And as a result, I think it's actually unfair on organizations. It's a setup for failure. Because what do you know? It's like asking me to become a politician tomorrow. Like, what the heck? I don't know anything. And all I see is bad. Like, that's all I know. So, but I'm not trained for it. I didn't get prepared for it. I just have to leap into this world that I don't really get. It's not my natural skill set. So anyway, we've had great impact on real human beings learning and changing how they lead. And then what I'm particularly proud of is we measure the impact. So we measure the impact not just on the individual learner, but also on the people that they lead. So we actually get that return on investment for the business that they're in. So we can see, because the leader's behavior has changed, it's changed the engagement level of the people they lead, the performance level, and their commitment to the organization because of their manager. Because the manager is the key for all of this. They unlock the key for employee engagement. That's a cool part.
Do you feel there's almost like a legacy of bad management that needs to, that you're working against almost? Because if I think about many organizations I've been involved with in the past, as you say, a lot of people are not ready for the roles they end up in, and then don't know how to behave in those roles, and then that legacy is passed on to the people below them, so that then when they leave, it's just more of the same.
That's exactly what happens. And I think that, I mean, there's historical reasons for that.
Mm.
So I think our schooling system doesn't help. And I think, although in South Africa, this is something that's kind of, only your sort of 45, 48-year-old managers, traditionally men, all came through the army.
Yes.
You know, a big chunk of them came through the army. And that's a style of leadership, which is very autocratic for good reasons. But that style is now like completely impractical in today's world.
Mm.
So as we start to see the shift of people 50s and above start to be in very senior positions, they still hold that legacy unless they're very awake, unless they're awake to it. And they are. There's some incredible leaders. And in fact, we work in organizations where often the GM is the one going, I can see we need to change this. This is not working. And so, you know, there are some really awake leaders out there who notice the impact of management style on employees' behavior and organizational culture. So, but you can't just solve this with a magic wand and a 2-day fitness camp.
Yes.
It actually does take a longer term commitment. And that's where inspired leadership comes in as an approach, because we actually work not just with the learner, but we work with the people they lead, we work with their manager in a very integrated and holistic approach, which starts to shift culture.
Yes.
So it's quite a quite a complicated solution, but essentially the problem we're solving is a manager who doesn't know how to lead. All they can do is be the boss and, you know, keep on being technical, and that's the trap they fall into, because then they start doing the work that they're comfortable with doing instead of actually leading and managing a team.
Yes. And do you think maybe also there's a disconnect in the language, that perhaps instead of calling them managers, we should be calling them leaders?
Well, we have a philosophy where we actually work at 2 levels in an organization: managers and then what we call emerging leaders, so not yet manager. And we work to prepare them for roles of leadership. And that whole preparation phase is called, our structures, it starts with leading yourself. And 90% of the job is lead yourself. So we're all leaders. We lead our homes. We lead, obviously, sometimes very well, sometimes very badly, leading ourselves, because we are common in all the bad decisions we've made, all the good decisions, all the successful teams, all the unsuccessful teams. We'll find the common denominator with you. So if you're going to invest some time in learning to lead, well, the hardest person is the person in the mirror. Yes. So that emerging leader program and our journey that we take them on is very much around getting to know the person that stares back at you and figuring out how to master that person before you start to think that you can master the world of influencing other people. Yes, I think the conversation and language does need to change.
I have to say that everything you've just said resonates with me very strongly. When I was learning to lead my team, it really was a journey of self-discovery and a lot of digging in my own stuff to figure out how to do things. So that definitely resonates. And I think the fact that you're kind of putting a programming in place for emerging leaders, that is the missing link in the current structures.
We really found, and I mean, this program, and I'll tell you a bit about where we're going with it and how it's organized now, but in its initial stage, I looked around, because I'm a lead designer on this, and I looked around particularly in South Africa, and we have a gap. A lot of organizations will do internships, graduate programs, even learnerships, and then in that space, and I've done it because I've designed those things, there's quite a lot of community and connection and rah, we're all going to take on the world. And particularly with graduates, there's this high expectation that tomorrow I'm going to be a manager. Like it's very high. And then what happens is in that graduate program, they're all connected and they come together for all sorts of things, whether it's virtually or not. And then they poof into the business. Like, good, you're now on a project at Stanlib, and then you're some other project at Nedbank, and then you're working from home, and you're completely disconnected from your community that you were quite tight with. And you're now being managed, instead of by a project manager or a program manager, you're being managed by the technical leader, the manager who we work with, who doesn't really know what to do with you. And actually, if we're honest with ourselves, a lot of early career professionals need much higher levels of support than somebody who's got 10 years experience. And that support gap is missing. And according to research, only 30% of people believe that somebody cares about their development.
Wow.
30%. So, and if we double that to 60%, it has massive impact on organizations' profitability because of the retention and performance gain. So, just increasing the level of support and development for that layer. They're no longer in the program. They're not ready for manager. And so we come in there, in that gap. We're not a graduate program. We live there, and we can actually work with them for 2 years, because then that fills the gap. We reduce the attrition, increase the performance, and plus we've equipped them to be that bench for appointment to management in 2-3 years' time. And retain them, which is the key thing. Your high potential talent is what we call them, high potential talent. Invest in a grad program, and then poof, they disappear into the market because nobody cares about them anymore. That's why we focus there.
That makes so much sense. I think you have a lot of work to do.
Well, we actually do. We have a lot of work to do, and I think the market is ready for this. Our route to market, and this is something that I thought you'd probably find quite interesting as a business structure, is as I was designing this, and it's one of the reasons the why I designed it, is the original proof of concept kind of idea was done for a particular client. And as I was building this, I went, this is actually great. This is great. And I went way out of scope because I realized what I was busy building here. And as I was doing it, I was thinking, I have a particularly strange set of skills. So I'm a facilitator, I'm a speaker, I write well, I design well. Turns out I can manage digital platforms. And so I built the whole process, from all the communications plans to the launch plans to the marketing material, so that others can use it. So, and that's the business model. Is actually I'm creating and have created what we call channel partners who get certified on this approach and can use these journeys in clients, where they go through a certification process with me and then can position it and run it with their clients from India to California to Vancouver, where we've got a global spread of people who are then certified. They know how to do this, why it's there, what makes it special, unique, and different. And we have a facilitator certification so that they can facilitate the kind of conversations that we want to be having with people like Melanie who are going through a journey, and we need to care about you. So how that all hangs together.
That's so amazing. When you were building it, did you realize you were building a global brand?
You know what? If you were certified, you'd know this. There's a part of the certification is actually like, where did we come from and where are we going? Okay. And so there's the story of the development of what this is, because it started with, obviously me doing this, and then I was thinking about some of my peer consultants or peer facilitators, and apart from the fact that they told me they couldn't do this, I realized that I was packaging something that they could use. So it was like, I can help this person because they don't have the same skill set. They care deeply about people and they're really good coaches. But to put a whole package together, to create an integrated solution for a client, to be able to do the kind of positioning with the team and with the managers and all this kind of holistic approach that we've got, not everybody can do that. So I was kind of almost designing it for one or two people, thinking they could reuse it. So it was a local kind of idea. And then I sat back and went, my history is I used to work for IBM, and we never thought local. There was never ever thinking about local. It was always global. And I was like, okay, I think this could be global. like there's no reason why it can't be. So
Yes.
that was basically where it went from there.
Yes.
And so now we've got channel partners in quite a few different countries who are certified on the brand and certified on the positioning, and a nice certification process for facilitators, for partners. So yeah, it is a global brand, and now it's the hard work of trying to figure out how to unlock that piece of marketing into internationals, positioning the product, that piece. And that's been probably the biggest hurdle for me, because creating the business is actually that's been the easiest part. Cracking the front face of business development, sales and marketing is a part that is way more challenging for me, because my skill set is not there yet. Skill set is not there yet, but I'm growing.
Are you using your own material to teach yourself?
Well, I don't teach. There's nothing inside our program about sales, for example. So okay. I can't pretend to know stuff about sales. Everybody says, can't you do sales training? I'm like, no, I don't know how to do it. If I did, I would be doing it better, I think. So, but I use my own methodologies and thinking on the team and on the communications and on the things like the growth mindset is a big part of it. Yes. I'm not good at this yet. Yes. So those kind of things are very much part of everyday conversations.
Yes. I love that you've still got goals and you've still got things that you can learn yourself.
Oh, geez. That's one of the things why talking about the business is quite therapeutic, because you kind of trace the journey. Because when you're in the thick of it, it's just like the learning curve is massively steep. And somebody said to me the other day, I said, I'm a leadership development person. And they said, Angela, you actually just need to stop saying that, because you're a business owner. That's what you are. You're an entrepreneur and a business owner. The fact that what you do, your product is around leadership development, is almost secondary to that now. But just like a technical manager who becomes a manager, or a technical specialist who becomes a manager, that's me. I'm a technical specialist in leadership development, learning design, communications, change management, organizational development. That's my technical speciality. I'm now in a position of actually a fairly ill-equipped business manager and owner of a business. I wish I'd had that pre-program. Maybe that's an idea.
I love that insight that you've managed to take a step back and be aware of that also. This is such a great reflection for people watching to understand just how complex being an entrepreneur can be.
Super complex. I don't. It's a weird thing to say. Like, if I knew then what I know now, I'm not sure I would have built this, because it's actually huge amounts of energy and emotion and so on. But the one thing that I didn't mention yet is I don't really feel like I created it. I feel like that's why it's called inspired leadership. It kind of was inspired. It came to me, as opposed to I went searching for something to build. And tracing back and thinking through the steps and the people and the incidences and the just the little micro moments that caused this to kind of become is actually quite amazing to think about.
When you were a kid, did you think you'd be a business owner one day?
No. Was this my lifelong dream? No. That's the thing. That's so weird. Like, I've not ever really been, I'm totally going to run my own business. I don't survive well in corporate. I'm not a good employee. I'm a great employee. I didn't have any problems. Occasional problems. It's not a walk in the park being an employee. Once your head's in the right space, if you're employed, stay employed. That's all I can say, because it's very tough building a business, and all the intricacies and the nuances. It is really not a walk in the park. And especially, maybe it's because I spent 20-ish years in employment. If you start your life as an entrepreneur, maybe it's different. Maybe that's all you know. But for those of us who we call ourselves corporate expats,
Yes.
We had that corporate world, and I'm so grateful for the time I did have. And I think it's helped to create a standard of excellence that I strive to all the time, because I know what it can be like. I know that this is possible. And why must it be so difficult when you're on your own, when you've had that experience as an employee, and especially an employee of a global giant like IBM? Because that's a big thing I realized is when I left the company, oh my gosh, did I realize how much we had. Apart from IT on speed dial, like there was a help center and somebody looked after your computer. Now I had to do that all. But just the level of, I think I even did a video on this, digital acuity. I was just super aware of new tools and new trends, because that's how we rolled. But now this is all your job. You have to stay up to date. You have to find out the next tool. You have to make sure your computer is virus free and which I never had to do. First time I had to get my own cell phone contract. 20 years I hadn't had my own cell phone contract. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I didn't. I had to buy my own computer for the first time 3 years ago. So these are things you don't think about as a corporate expat.
I'm loving this reflection. Thank you so much. It's so valuable for everybody watching, because I know a lot of people kind of teeter on the cusp, kind of, should I go, should I stay, what should I do, should I start my own business? And these are all such valuable insights for those people. Thank you so much.
I mean, it hugely depends on how you built. And I've, over my many years of working in the people field, I've done so many personality profiles and assessment centers and things like that, because that's how we roll in leadership development. That I'm quite aware of my strengths and who I am, and I feel like I'm quite well positioned to do this. I was in a comfort zone in employment. Like, let's not kid, it's very comfortable being employed. Knowing that you're going to get paid on the 25th, I still remember those days. I remember those days fondly, but anyway, they're no longer there. But the point is, it's comfortable, and I was very comfortable. But if you know who you are and how you're built, like what's your strength profile, what are you good at, how independently can you be, how independent can you work, how resilient are you? Are there factors in your life that can help you stay resilient? Because building a business and being an entrepreneur, it has got to be the area where you have the highest highs and the lowest lows. Like, cannot stress that enough. If you're not personally resilient and you're not personally strong, able to like just keep on keeping on, bashing through, the grit, determination, if that's not your thing, if you maybe start projects and leave them by the wayside, you are going to battle out here. You really will. It is not for the faint of heart. And things don't work instantly. I was talking to somebody the other day. Yes, they're going to start a blog, and the blog, and doing some social media around it. It's going to go viral. I'm like, okay, good luck with that. But like, let's manage expectations just a little bit down to what's realistic in your first 6 months, your first year. It doesn't go viral overnight, as you've experienced. There was a lot that happened before, after, during, lots of determination, lots of grit, lots of relentless long days to get there.
Yes, and be careful when it goes viral. It's not everything it's cracked up to be.
I'm curious to know what happened.
Oh, it can be tough. It can be tough. I had to learn to manage hate mail at a certain point. Not everybody's happy that it's gone viral for you. So there were unexpected pushbacks that I wasn't expecting. I've actually slowed down the growth of my community just to keep it at a manageable space where it's running smoothly, it's stable, everybody's friendly, it's nice, it's not blowing itself apart every day.
Good gracious.
So be careful what you wish for. And also, as soon as it goes viral, you don't own it anymore. The mob owns it.
The mob. Yeah. Those people that appeared nice on the outside. Their photos were nice.
Yes. So it's a balancing act. It really is a balancing act. So, Angela, do
Well,
you
I have
think
to be honest, I don't know anything about that.
do you think you would go back now that you've entered the world of being a business owner?
It's a great question, and one I do think about occasionally, but it's very occasional. Like I definitely miss some elements of being employed, apart from the 25th. I really miss that. But I think what I'm doing now is what I'm meant to be doing. I feel like I'm absolutely on purpose.
Oh, that's
doing
such a
something
great
that
thing.
I'm created to do. Yeah, absolutely. It's not everyone gets to say that. And what I do is very meaningful. So from a content and a product point of view, it's extremely meaningful. People's lives get changed. The comment that like almost brought me to tears is I had a group of learners with me, and the one guy said, I started doing this. I chose to do this because I wanted to be a better manager. What has happened is I've become a better father and a better husband. And I was like, that's on purpose, because our purpose statement and my purpose as a human being is I really truly believe better leaders make better people. And to be able to see that the organization has invested in him and he will be a better leader for sure in his organization. But the knock on is that he's a better father. Like that for me is the most meaningful thing. And sure, obviously all business is about profit, but I really do want to contribute to community and to families and to the conversation around the dinner table, which I think is obviously more important than whether we make a profit every quarter. That for me is the purpose.
You know, your story just gave me goosebumps.
It gives me goosebumps. Seriously, when he told me that, I could feel my eyes misting up and going, like there was a little insider, like high five. That's what you're trying to do. that's what you're trying. I mean, it's just beautiful the kind of insights that people get because it's well designed. It's well designed. It's clever. It's engaging. It's interactive. It's personal, and we care. We bring the care, which is it's hard to find out there.
Yes. I love that. Angela, it has been totally inspiring chatting with you today. I'm very, very, very excited to have this content for my channel. I think you've shared so much wisdom that so many people can learn from. Thank you for your generosity to share freely. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, where can they find you online?
So we have www.inspiredleadership.world. Clever of me. I chose the .world because I thought, I don't want to use the ZA because that's not where we're going. So we're a .world. You just type Inspired Leadership, you'll find us there. And we're on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter. So we're pretty much on all the platforms. Our biggest platform is the web and then LinkedIn because we're business to business, which is great. And also, for your listeners to become a channel partner, there's a channel partner page on the website where they can just find out a bit more about what does it mean and book a time with me to explore actually on the website. So for anyone who's got a background like me, corporate expat, learning and development, facilitation, coaching, those are the people that are great channel partners, but they have to be good at business development because that's what it is. The work doesn't come to them. They have to go out and knock on some doors, which is that they're taking something really solid into the world. And then also from a South African point of view, we have both of our journeys are accredited, which then makes it quite useful for some organizations, which is being achieved somewhat creatively, but it's an accredited journey that they can go through and create some real impact in their organizations. So we'd love to talk to you and connect with organizations, big and small, because we're scalable. We're digital, we're scalable. We can work with 6 people or we can work with 600 in one organization. So it's a very scalable solution.
Thank you so much for your time today, Angela. That was absolutely inspiring.
It was lovely to talk to you, Melanie. Thank you very much for having me.